Good evening, everyone. This is IGCSE Physics paper 2PR. The diagram shows the temperature time graph for a substance which is heated at a constant rate. Which section of a graph shows when a substance is melting? So when there is a change in state, there is no change in temperature. So we have solid is changing into liquid, and liquid is changing into gas. So from Q to R, a solid is in a state of melting. Which section of a graph shows when all the substance is solid? So from P to Q, the substance is solid. Draw particles in a box to show arrangement of particles when substance is a gas. So particles are free to move, weak intermolecular forces, and far away from each other. Which of these statements best describe the motion of the particle in a gas? So the motion of the particle in a gas, because in gases the particles can easily move randomly at a high speed. So D is the right answer. Name apparatus that could be used to measure temperature. So we can use a thermometer. Determine the boiling point of a substance. So how we work out the boiling point of a substance from the graph, because the temperature, this is a state at which it is boiling, and that's equal to 80. So the boiling temperature or boiling point is 80 degrees centigrade. A substance of mass 1.2, calculate energy required to raise the temperature from 10 to 37, the specific heat. So we have the formula E is equals to Cm delta T. C is the specific heat, which is 840, M is the mass, which is 1.2, and temperature change, it is 37 minus 10. So this will give us the energy in joules, which will be 27,000 joules. The diagram shows a metal block on the top of the metal block is held stationary by a force F is there. So basically the clockwise moment due to the weight of a metal block balances with the anti-clockwise moment by the force. The weight of a metal block acted through point G, what we call, so G is the center of the gravity or the center of the mass. Name a piece of apparatus that could be used to measure the weight of a metal block. So to measure the weight of this, we can use a spring balance. State a formula linking the moment, force, and the perpendicular distance. So moment is equals to force multiplied by perpendicular distance. The weight of a metal block is 0.68. Show that the moment of the weight of a metal block at point P is approximately 2.9 Newton per centimeter. So we take a distance from the pivot. P is the point of pivot. G is the weight, which is 0.68. So 0.68 multiplied by 0.68, the force multiplied by distance from the pivot, that is 4 point, and that is 43 centimeter. Sorry, 4.3 centimeter. So which is approximately 2.9 Newton centimeter. The force applied stop. Calculate the magnitudes. Basically, the clockwise moment balances with the anti-clockwise moment. So this weight was 0.68 Newton. So 0.68 multiplied by 4.3 is equals to force multiplied by distance from the pivot, so that is 11. 11 is multiplied, other side will be divided, so 0.68 multiplied by 4.3 divided by 11, that will be equal to the force which is needed to balance this block, and that will come out about, that force will be 0.26 Newton. Diagram shows an air track that can be used to investigate the motion without friction. Air comes through the series of small holes in an air track, which lift the glider. And there are two gliders on the track. A magnet is placed. Explain the direction of a force acting on magnet A from magnet B. So the two magnets are there, and the pole of a magnet nearest to each other are like. So like poles repel each other. So the direction of force acting on magnet A from magnet B is because both will try to repel. So for magnet A, it will be on the left hand side because the like charges or like poles repel. The glider collide and the magnets cause them to rebound. Before collision, the momentum is 0.045 on to the right and glider B is at rest. State the total momentum of glider A and B after collision. So total momentum according to conservation of the momentum, the total momentum before collision is equal to momentum after collision. So the total momentum before collision is equal to total momentum after. Before is 0.045 plus 0, so the after should also be 0.045. After collision, the momentum of glider A is 0.021 to the left. So calculate the momentum of after collision. So as we know, the total momentum before collision is equals to total momentum after collision. Initial momentum of B was 0. So this was momentum before collision for A and B and momentum after collision for A and B. So before collision it was 0.0 for A, 0.045, B was 0, then after collision it is, because it is on the left hand side opposite, so it will be minus 0.021 and the momentum of B after collision. So this will move other side. So it will be 0.045 plus 0.021. We'll get the momentum of B, which is 0.066. The time taken for glider B to change momentum is 0.19. Calculate the average force. So the change in the momentum, because for initial momentum of a glider B was 0, so change in momentum is same as 1 of its momentum. So we have its momentum and we have the time. So the change in momentum or impulse is equals to force multiplied by time. So force is equals to impulse divided by time. The change in momentum, final momentum is 0.066, initial momentum was 0, and the time interval is 0.19. So we'll get the force experienced by this B, which is 0.35 Newton. Give a direction of force on glider B from glider A. So from glider B to glider A, when we calculate this force, we are getting a positive answer, and positive direction in the from the beginning we took right ahead side as a positive, so we are getting a positive answer, so means the direction of the force is towards the right hand side. A student used oscilloscope to determine the speed of sound. The diagram shows oscilloscope trace produced by sound waves. The student uses two microphones and a ruler to determine the wavelength. He finds that the wavelength is 1.4. State the formula linking speed, frequency, and wavelength. So V is equals to F lambda. Use the oscilloscope trace to calculate the speed. So first, on x-axis, 1 square is representing 1 millisecond. So this one is 1, 2, 3, and 4. So 4, it means the total time period is equals to 4 millisecond, or we can say the time period is 4 into 10 to the power minus 3 second. And then we need a frequency. Frequency is reciprocal of the time period, so it will be 1 divided by t, or 1 divided by 4 into 10 to the power minus 3. So this will give us the time period, which will come out to this will give us frequency, which will come out to 50 hertz. And the wavelength is 1.4, so we have the formula V is equals to F lambda. So 1.4 multiplied by 250, we'll get the speed at which this wave will travel, which is about 350 meter per second. Another student uses this method to determine the speed of sound. Students stand 50 meters away from her teacher and measure the distance with a ruler. The teacher make a loud sound and a flash of a light at the same time. Students start the stopwatch when she sees the flash and stop when she hears the bang. Evaluate whether this method could produce an accurate value of the speed of sound in air. Speed is equals to distance divided by time. So in this method, there is a reaction time also involved, and if distance is too short, then in percentage uncertainty will be higher, and there is also a chance using a ruler or measuring tape, so there is a chance of parallax error, and student did not repeat, so it will not be accurate. An aircraft travel along a runway. The aircraft start from rest at a constant acceleration of 4.1. Calculate a distance uh, required to take off speed to be 75. So we have the formula A is equals to V minus U over T. So final is 75. The initial is 0. Acceleration is 4.1. So we can first find the time. Or after getting a time, then speed is distance over time, but what we substitute here, we'll substitute average speed, or we can use equation of motion. 2as is equals to v square minus u square. So 2 into acceleration 4.1, distance we don't know, the final speed is 75 and the initial speed is 0. 75 square, which is 5625, divided by 8.2, we'll get the distance, which is 690 meters. The aircraft takes off and reaches its maximum height above the ground. At maximum height, the background radiation count is higher than one on the ground. What is meant by background radiation? So radiation from surrounding are known as a background radiation, and why he's receiving greater amount of radiation at higher altitude? Because of cosmic rays from the surrounding. Suggests why there is a limit to the number of hours that airline pilot can fly to its maximum height. So because if he's flying for a longer period of a time, he's exposed to a greater amount of radiation, which increases the risk of cancer. The Big Bang Theory described the evolution of a universe, explain how cosmic microwave background radiation support the Big Bang. So how cosmic background radiation support the Big Bang? That what we the cosmic background radiation appear that they are same in all the direction and same everywhere, and the wavelength has increased. If the wavelength has increased, it means the frequencies decrease or the temperature also decrease. So it shows that the universe was hotter in the beginning. Hydrogen gas in the lab on Earth emit light of wavelength 605 nanometer. The distant galaxy contain hydrogen which emit same wavelength. The wavelength of a light from distance measured to be 683 on Earth. Calculate the speed. So first we'll calculate a Doppler shift. The change in wavelength divided by original wavelength will give us the Doppler shift, and the Doppler shift is v by c. V is the speed at which the galaxy is moving. So 683 minus 605 divided by 605 the original, because the change in wavelength over original wavelength, that will give us a Doppler shift. So Doppler shift is equals to c by v by c. V is the speed at which that galaxy is moving, so we multiplied by speed of light, which is 3 into 10 power 8. So after getting a Doppler shift, we multiply, we'll get V as 3.9 into 10 is power 7 meter per second. The diagram shows part of a device used to demonstrate electrostatic charge. Metal bucket A and B, a rubber mat is there. Negatively charged water droplet fell into a bucket A. Describe how bucket A become negatively charged. So what, and this is insulation is there, so net charge. So when these negatively charged droplets are moving, so when they will come in contact with bucket A, so metal, the electron will have excess, this metal will have excess of electrons, so it will become negatively charged. Explain why the negatively charged droplets spread out as they fall. So why they spread out? Because like charges repel each other. So due to electrostatic repulsion, they move away from each other. A droplet hits a bucket at a speed of 3.8. Calculate the kinetic energy. So kinetic energy is half mv square. The mass is given 6.2 into 10 power minus 9, and the speed is given. So we'll multiply and speed square. So we'll get the kinetic energy. So this will be 0.5, sorry, half. So 0.5 into 6.2 into 10 power minus 9, and then 3.8 square. We'll get the kinetic energy, which will come out as 4.5 into 10 power minus 8 joules. The total charge stored in a bucket is minus 1.1 into 10 power minus 10. The charge passes through air gap between the bucket. Calculate the current. The current is charge divided by time. We have the charge and we have the time. So when we divide these two factors, we will get the current, which is 1.2 into 10 power minus 8 amperes. The spark transfer the charge. The mean voltage is 1.7. Energy, the energy is equals to VIT, that's power into time. So that's kilo, so it should be 1.7 into 10 power 3. We already have the current and we have the time, so we multiply these three factors to get the energy. Or you can also use Q is easy work done. Voltage is work done per unit charge, or W divided by Q. Or you can use VIT, so that will give you answer as 1.9 into 10 power minus 7 joules. The diagram shows a step down transformer. Explain how transformer works. So an AC input produces variable magnetic field which magnetizes the iron core, and change in magnetic field of iron core induces EMF in the secondary coil, which can be step up or step down by using a suitable turn ratio. State the formula linking the input voltage and the output voltage with number of turns. So Vs over Vp is equals to Ns over Np. Calculate the output voltage. So we need Vs. Vp is given. Voltage of primary. Vs is unknown. Number of turns of secondary are given, and number of turns of primary are given, and number of turns of secondary are also given. So we'll use the formula Vs over Vp is equals to Ns over Np. So Vp is 12. Number of turns of secondary 45, number of turns of primary 160, so 12 will be multiplied there. So Vs is equals to 45 multiplied by 12 divided by 160. So we'll get voltage of secondary, which will come out as 3.4 as it is a step down transformer. So this was the last question from WPH1 2PR.